What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Please help me. I need urgent help. My friend is barely breathing. He's just coming back as pair of legs, man. We already went through all of this in Punk Hazard. You're supposed to be dead.
Savage. Certified drip.
It's about to get spicy. Hey, look. He don't feed. He don't feed. He don't feed, bro. He don't feed. He don't feed, bro.
And we're back. So are a couple of other people. But we'll get into that. Oh, man. All right. So if you're watching this on Halloween, it's my birthday. Yeah. We celebrated in the stream on Friday, and I want to thank everybody that came by. You know, had to break out the birthday suit, okay? This year, sponsored by the Sanji Onigashima drip, right? Certified.
Certified drip.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. People have been asking me to do this for a long time. I mean, I saw it. Had to do it. And I even got another tie that matches the suit a little better. That's not, you know, obviously this tie kind of clashes a little bit. Even though it's still drippy. It's still a clash. All right. So before we get into things, I just want to thank everybody. I really do. I you know, this has been probably the best year of my life. Mostly because my son was born, and he's 10 months now. But because of you guys, because of this channel, for the community that we've created. You know, I mentioned this, you know, at the end of the stream, and I'm just saying at the beginning of this, just so everybody knows how appreciative I am of you guys watching and all of this. But let's get into this. Let's get into this chapter, right? I'm gonna, since it is my, you know, birthday, I'm not gonna really do a lot of edits. I'm gonna probably just shoot this and put it out. But we're gonna get our thoughts out here, and here we go. Okay, so addressing the elephant in the room. What are these doing back? What? No! 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 Oh, man. All right. So, look, here's the thing. I'm not too upset about it. Okay, I said if anybody was going to come back, it was going to be Kinemon for, you know, some sort of last remaining plot line and all of that. I am not too surprised that Kiku is back. I mean, you know, I wanted Kiku to be dead, right? But we've talked about the folklore here, and I'm not going to go into everything about it. You know, if you want a refresher on the Kiku folklore, head back to the video I did on 1014, okay? Because that's... I go into everything there. But the spark notes are that Okiku, the folklore, is about a waitress that gets killed, thrown into a well, and then comes back as a ghost and searches for vengeance against their killer, right? So I said there was always a possibility that Kiku comes back, and if Oda wanted to go this realm, you know, this route of ghosts, of spirits, you know, and tie things into the Fire Festival, that's, you know, there's a possibility for that. Okay, so Kiku, she's on her, you know, she's on her last breaths here. Usopp, Hamlet, and Ace Ventura are all heading over to, you know, check on her. So this is fine. Kiku's gonna come back, and if Oda wants to continue with the folklore, he can have her, you know, enact some sort of revenge against Kanjuro or Orochi, since, you know, he's really the puppet master for Kanjuro. So we'll see. I don't necessarily see Kiku and Orochi, but, you know, there may be some unfinished business between Kiku and Kanjuro now. All right, we'll see where Oda goes with this. The one character that I'm actually, like, most upset about is Kanjuro. That's the person that I actually thought, other than Ashura Doji, who I still feel is 100% dead, because his folklore has nothing about coming back. Kanjuro died so perfectly. That would have been one of the greatest deaths. He did not need to come back. But Oda has a plan. Okay? And we're here to enjoy Oda's story. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to, tell him what to do or what not to do. Can we criticize? Yeah, of course we can criticize. This is lowering the stakes of deaths and things like that, but then it's upping narrative stakes because there's still all of this like craziness that's happening even as we get Smiley 2.0, right? I know that this is a divisive chapter for people. People are, very upset about Kinemon coming back, Kiku coming back, and Kanjuro coming back. It's the will of K, right? We got the will of P, we got the will of K now. There we go. I'm okay with Kiku. I'm okay with Kinemon. Oda needs to show me why he brought Kanjuro back, and that's when he shows me that. Then I'll be I'll be more receptive. If he brings back Ashura Doji, I'm gonna say, dude, what? Why? What is he gonna do? What's the point? All right. Kinemon's got unfinished business. He's got to see his wife. All of that. Kiku doesn't necessarily have any unfinished business, but popular character, and there's no real reason to kill them other than for dramatic weight. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, now the most interesting thing about the chapter for me is the section with Usopp, Nami, Tama, and the Gifters, right? First of all, Hamlet season. Hamlet's back, all right? We love Hamlet. Not as much as we love Fortrix, but, I need Fortrix and Kinemon's legs to meet. Okay? I need Fortrix and Kinemon's legs to meet. Oda, bring that for me, okay? So, why I like this is because Usopp is separating himself from the group. And by doing so, that's leaving Nami and Tama basically alone with just some other gifters. And as we talked about in the stream 2 weeks ago, I think, when Sanji was running away, I said that this is a perfect opportunity for him to run into Nami, right? Because he's having this emotional crisis where, he thinks he's going to turn into his brothers. And the only person really on Onigashima that's going to set Sanji straight and remind him of his kindness, remind him, that he is not his family because this person has met his family, is Nami. Nami is going to be able to slap him and say, hey, look, you're not your brothers. You're not going to become your brothers. You're a kind human being, and you're going to be fine. Why this also makes sense is because there is this constant through line that has been set up for like a really long time between Tama and Queen. It's subtle. We've talked about it on this channel a lot. If you're new here, you may not know, but if you go back to any scenes with Queen, he is always like curious about why certain gifters are not, answering him or anything like that. It started with Babanuki in the Udon prison. He started, questioning that, and then he started seeing some other things happening in Onigashima, and he keeps like bringing it up. And then there was a little panel with Queen and Tama near each other, and he sort of put two and two together. So if he sees Tama, it's going to be a chance for Queen to try and attack Tama and restore the alliance to their side, right? Little does he know that Kaido's already done this and Speed still stayed under Tama's control, so that's not going to work. And if it does, then Oda's retconning what he did in chapter 921 or whatever that was. Somewhere around there. In Act 1, after, when Kaido and Luffy fought. So, now for Law and Kid. So this stuff, this is alright. This is fine. This is fine. Big Mom's not out completely. She's going to be temporarily disabled, but she's going to come back at the end of the arc. This is, a good moment to pull Law and Kid away from this scenario. Maybe we can get Law versus CP0 potentially, because Law is the person who introduced us to CP0, so he might be able to get involved with that once they, come and start fighting Brook for Robin, right? Because if that's totally going to happen, CP0 versus Brook. And this is because it seems like Oda is trying to give the Straw Hats that did not participate in Ennie's lobby CP fights. He already did it with Jinbei with Who's Who. Now Brook looks like he's lined up to fight Cypher Pole Zero. If Law gets involved, that's great. Helps the sword agenda. Speaking of sword agenda, I'll jump to the beginning of the chapter. We finally got some Drake. We got Drake and Apu. Seems like Apu wants to get into an alliance with Drake. Okay. That's fine. Okay. That means that we could possibly get what everybody has been, expecting since the beginning of the arc, which is all of the supernovas on Wano versus Kaido. And there's currently 9 supernovas. So are the supernovas going to end up being the shadows? Hawkins will come in at the last moment with that trump card? Potentially. Potentially. Do I want that? I'd rather, more of a mix-up, more of a mashup of things that we, aren't necessarily expecting, but I'd be okay with it. It's still hype, but it's also a repeat of what we got in Stampede, which kind of mitigates that hype for me, personally. Excuse me. Decided I wanted to look a little more like my avatar. There we go. So I got a lot of comments about the numbers that we're introduced to being the samurai that helped Yamato in their flashback. No, I don't see that. I mean, I expect the numbers to be people that have been experimented on, but I don't expect them to have been humans that were experimented on. I think they are actually part of the Ancient Oni race, and that their lineage factor was extracted and then used by Vegapunk and Caesar in their goals towards gigantification. Some people believe that they were humans or children that were successfully gigantified at Punk Hazard. There's a possibility for that, but I would prefer that they are actually their own race and that their lineage factor were the ones that were, drawn out, because we've already seen people like Ors and Ors Jr. here, and it makes sense if that's what they're part of, right? And it's sort of a separate thing from the actual giants, the ancient Onis. So that's what I see there. They seem interesting. I like the one that looks like him from Powerpuff Girls. I want to see, what these guys do. They're probably just going to be fodder. We'll see if Usopp ends up getting involved and, fulfilling that prophecy set up in Jaya that, he was going to take down 10 beasts. And it wouldn't exactly be that because he's not taking out 10 of them, but there are 10 numbers. So, yeah. So we'll see with that. Jumping back to Law and Kid. So they've magically awakened. This doesn't bother me as much as it seems to bother other people, because we have not been following Law and Kid's journey. We have been following the Straw Hats' journey, and then for the post time skip, the Scabbards. We've been following portions of Law's journey, sure, but when you take into consideration what he's doing here with Kroom, right, which, thanks to Saeed Abdo, for actually, putting a comment on the stream explaining where Kroom comes from, because I think Kroom is a stupid name personally. I don't think it's hard at all. But the way that he said it is that it's actually Kuromu, right? So the root word there is actually Kuro, so black, right? That got me sort of thinking, where I was just like, okay, well, he's the Surgeon of Death then, right? So that's why that's there. He was saying that it sounds more like chrome or chromium, right? Which is an element. And then here you have Law taking his room, putting it into his metal sword, and then stabbing it. So I think that there's something there. And then chromium, of course, is an element. So it all sort of like vibes with the medical naming and scheming of Law. Oda just went with a wacky translation, because it's actually written in English, Kroom, but then underneath that is where it says Kuromu. So that's fine. That's fine. But the thing is that it's very reminiscent of Gamma Knife, right? Because what the action is happening is that where Law's normal techniques seem to affect everybody from the outside, right? Slices you, cuts you in half, then puts you back together. Gamma Knife and what he's doing here are attacking you from the inside. And that's the way that Oda seems to do things, right? With these awakenings, he sort of flips it. So whereas, Katakuri and Doflamingo could produce mochi and strings respectively, when they were awakened, they turned their surrounding into it. So it's something different and all that. Here, instead of affecting the outside, he's affecting the inside. Kid's awakening is doing basically the same thing. Whereas he can repel and attract things to him, he now made Big Mom the magnet, where everything now is attracted to her, crushing her. So that's an interesting way to go about it. I know a lot of people wanted to see Kid bloodbend, do some other things like that. Didn't happen. That's fine. That's fine, because this is actually a creative way to use Kid, and I'm just thoroughly unimpressed with his powers to begin with. So this was actually an interesting sort of reversal that I wasn't expecting. So that from that perspective, I enjoyed that. Orochi is our big narrator, of the chapter most of all. He's actually down below. He's already in the basement with the bombs, and he's ready to enact his plan. Now, if he stays there too long, he's probably going to die himself. So I don't know what his plan is, with being there and then getting out. But he is a planner, so I'm sure he has something. Yamato is on their way to the basement, and Oda's doing this on purpose. Yamato was set up by Kaido to become the shogun of Wano after Orochi's death, right? So now the shogun that Kaido wanted and the avatar of Odin now is going to run into Orochi, the person who destroyed Wano and is also the current shogun. So there's a poetry there. I'm sure Denjiro and Hiyori will probably still play a role in all of this, but this seems to be the way that Oda's going with this now. Fukurokuju was mentioned in the chapter, so I'm fully expecting some more Raizo and Fukurokuju next chapter. Probably, finish that up, wrap that up. We haven't gone back to Zoro in a bit, so I'm kind of thinking 1031 will be a little Zoro focused as well. I'd love to see CP0 make their move. We'll see what happens. Either way, my birthday is 1031. Next chapter is 1031, so we're going to be having back-to-back, like the cover of Lethal Weapon, celebrations this week and next week. I'm excited. This chapter was, it was all right. It was all right. I think the next chapter will be better. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week, guys. Join me for my big celebration, for the birthday chapter 1031 next week. I just can't get over how that sort of lined up. And if Oda didn't take a previous break, 1031 would officially came out on 1031, and that would have blown my mind. So Oda, please deliver next week, okay? More than anything, Fortrix and Kinemon's bottom half meeting. Come on, let's go. I want to thank the new members to the channel: Nico Robin, My Heart, Safama, and Fable for rejoining. Thank you. And that's going to do it for me. I want everybody to enjoy your Halloween, enjoy your weekend. Don't get too caught up in all of the, the divisiveness, or do, whatever you want if that's what's fun for you. And thanks again, everybody. This is so much fun. I love it. And yeah, I'm gonna go. Later, everybody. Ugh.
Do you see this cup?
Lavish bracket, in a lavish bracket. Gotta have it. Racks, I gotta have it. Beat my fabric. Do you see this jacket? Pay my taxes. I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.